All right, good afternoon, everybody. All right, so we've already gotten started on our opponent this week. Reviewing the film, kind of like we talked about after the game the other night. Just thought a lot of culture and execution is what showed up on tape. Really proud of the progress of our team. The fact that there's been such a change in our physicality up front on both sides of the ball, and that everybody really focused on doing their job and not pressing just to go out there and make a play. Sometimes when you do that, you get out of sorts a little bit. And for the most part, guys were doing their job and on point with it, and led to guys making a lot of plays. So, but that being said, I'll focus on Virginia, coming off a big win this past weekend. They got a lot of good players, a lot of speed on the field, and very disruptive on defense. They do a bunch up front. They present some challenges. Good practice this morning, and questions, please.
Was that game the best showing of physicality you've seen since you've been back here, considering level of opponent and the performance? Is that what you want it to look like?
I think that's something maybe at the end of the year you really look at and draw comparisons, but it's a major step when you look at rushing totals. When it's that lopsided, 211, 30. When you look at pressures on the quarterback, I believe we pressured him 18 out of 34 with 5 sacks, and I think we had 2 or 3 pressures, maybe more, maybe a fourth one, but no sacks. You feel really good about that progress, and we matched up against some really good players. So just a lot of hard work and development. I think style of play came into play also. I think our Tuesday, Wednesday practice sessions also showed up as well. Things that we work on a lot showed up as well. So certainly excited about the progress, and truth of the matter is there's a lot of improvement to be made, and we attacked those things right away on film, without any, no sensitivity, nothing but betterment in mind.
It's not an easy situation for a true freshman quarterback to make his first career start against that defense. Your take on how Emory Williams played and how a performance like that can help his development?
I thought he was excellent. I do, and I think we all know, I know it sounds like a broken record. If that's your first start, there's going to be a speed adjustment. It's just going to happen a little bit faster. Things are going to move just a little bit crazier than what you can provide. But we do practice a lot of good on good during the season, so he does get a lot of speed on speed. But he went through his progressions extremely well. He articulated the play calls, because we were a huddle operation for the most part. When we didn't huddle, he was able to communicate very well as well. There was no communication issue. He was very decisive. He got some balls batted earlier. I think as a freshman and quarterback, sometimes you don't find that throwing lane. And I thought as the game went on, he got really comfortable. I thought he started really settling in and made some big throws. Certainly that third down shot to Kobe. That's a big-time throw and a big-time route, big-time catch on a third down and must-have-it situation. So very pleased with his performance, and I know all his teammates were really excited for him. You saw Tyler's emotion on the sideline, towards him and congratulating him. So really good job by him.
And on that note with Tyler, how instrumental was he in a short period of time, just kind of helping Emory be ready for that moment?
He was excellent. He's a great mentor. I know Emory really looks up to him. Just helping him learn. Again, it was a new offense for everybody, but just Tyler's experience and football at the college level requires a certain level of understanding, and Tyler has been instrumental in helping Emory along with that.
Mario, you said, I think, at the end of the post-game press conference the other night, Tyler didn't get evaluated, you'd have more data in the next couple days. What more have you learned about his injury status for this coming week?
Yeah, he's good to go. That's what I can tell you. I think last week was, again, caught us off guard. I know on game day, people look out there and say, whoa, wait a second. But it caught us off guard during the week, and sometimes, he doesn't have anything that's serious, but if it takes a certain turn, it could delay you, and that's really what ended up happening. And we're in a good place right now, and everything was back to normal today's practice.
And then is there any kind of updated timeline or status update on the key member? We've obviously been out for a little while now.
He's been out for a little while. I can tell you, Nigelique will be out probably the rest of the season. Okay, his is a little bit more significant. Akeem is, I feel like he's close. I feel like maybe not ready to comment completely on him right now. We do have some evaluations today, later today, and then another one later this week. I mean, we're doing a lot of stuff with him, so I think we're close, but we also want to just keep the confidentiality of his situation, and also just not fully having a complete, like, just knowledge of where it's at to make a comment, so.
How about Trevante Citizen and his road back?
Yeah, he's close, you know, he is. And he's repping Indy. He is due for some work, some teamwork this week. He's doing all the running, all the cuts, all the drills. Is due for some contact this week as well. And, you know, we're very careful about that stuff. I mean, his was a very significant injury. There was a lot that went on there. And then he had a setback, you know, during his recovery process. He looks great. I mean, he's at that point where you can't tell he had an injury, you know? So now it's a matter of confidence. Now it's a matter of not so much physical, I would say rehabilitation as it is mental, making sure that he feels confident enough and that he can play fast enough to really not subject himself to, you know, any type of injury situation.
What can he add skill set wise?
Big, powerful guy, you know, and he's a put a foot in the ground and go guy as well. I mean, he's got legitimate speed for a guy his size. He can make you miss. He's got great hands, excellent in protection. He's an every down back.
When you watch the tape, how impressed were you by the performance of Shannon Dawson, considering the circumstances he was under with managing on Saturday?
No, I think we mentioned it before, Shannon, he did a great job. That's hard. That's hard. I mean, that's a top 10 defense, right? We've had, I think we faced 2 top 10 defenses this year, and both with, you know, with a veteran quarterback and another one with a brand new quarterback in his first start. And, you know, to be able to call it and still put yourself in a situation to win in 2 very different games, very, very different games, and knowing what we had to do to play complementary football against Clemson's offense and whatnot, that's an art, you know, and he did a masterful job of it. You know, I think we gobbled up over 13 minutes in the fourth quarter, 9+ in the third, and the play count at the end ended up just about even, right, 70 and 70. Just goes to show you how important it was to have that type of time of possession and still keep the sticks moving at that point in the game.
Do you feel like that possession showed up in overtime?
Without a doubt, you know, it was a factor in us getting there, you know, so.
Parrish, I guess that was the first game he missed. What's his situation?
He did good to go. We thought he was ready to play. You know, Tyler was almost ready to play, but it was okay. He hasn't really gotten, you know, enough reps to be there. Henry was starting to get some reps and he was about there, but not enough reps to think that he was going to be in better position to help us win than the other guys that got all the reps. So he's back full go.
Mario, now you're out for the rest of the year, and Akeem, having been out, how crucial, how clutch has it been to have Ruben Bain step up and, you know, play the way he's playing? How many freshmen have you seen over your years of coaching who been able to come in and play at this level so quickly?
Yeah, it's you know, he's unique. You know, he's done, and the thing is, he's doing it with power also. It's not like it's just a speed guy or a guy that comes in situationally. He's doing it on an every down basis, and his play count is probably the highest on the defensive line. So conditioning is in there as well. So he's been able to put veteran-like numbers and high-end veteran-like numbers as a true freshman, and doing the dirty work too now. You know, jumping in there and getting in the A gap sometimes when he's called to do so, and rushing the edge and taking on tight ends and tackles and chip blocks as well. So no, he's been incredible, and he just goes. You know, doesn't say much. Just focus on playing great football, and he's impacted the team not only as a player but also as a leader and as a person.
Mario, over the overtime situation, I know you had against Virginia the 4 overtimes last year. Does it help at all, you know, to have already gone through that, or how does it help? And what was the process like for you guys? You know, it's game experience is always most important.
Yeah, I mean, you work all those scenarios: 4-minute, 2-minute overtime. I think what comes into play there is, your red zone planning. Obviously, you're playing red zone football, right? And then also your conditioning, what you've done since January all the way up until there. And then again, what are you doing in practice? It's now week 6, 7, 8 for a lot of people, some 9 that played week 0, I believe. And so what's going to show up during that time, right? Because it's hard to run the ball in the red zone. It's hard to throw the ball, right? Because of the width and space to defend. So do I feel like we have an advantage? I feel like psychologically we're very confident, but credit to them. That's an excellent football team we played. I mean, that is as talented as a team as you'll see. So all in all, just really proud of our guys because whatever we talked about and everything we worked on, it actually showed up, right? We protected the football and we took away the football. And that has been, it's always been as big of a stat line as you can imagine as it relates to winning and losing.
Also, as Paulo, Rashard Smith is having a good season. In what ways does he make it difficult for opponents to game plan, and what challenges does he present, and what does he add to your offense and special teams?
Well, he does it all. You saw him play some running back. You saw him play slot. He plays outside. He's on every special teams. He's a returner. He's broken some monster kickoff returns as well. He's a punt returner as well. We'll probably use him back there in a little bit also. So he could handle a lot. He's like a piece of iron. He just doesn't break. He can just go forever. He's built that way. He's over 200 pounds. Just so natural as a football player. An awesome human being, I'm all over him. I'm a pain in his neck because I just feel that sky's the limit for him, and it's my obligation to make sure he leaves here absolutely elite. So I'm always on him. I think he appreciates it. I'm sure it makes him mad all the time, but he really is an explosive football player. And so he's worked himself in a position where we've created stuff for him, as well as he's part of the natural game plan.
After watching the tape, what were some of the biggest differences week over week in the run defense improving?
Well, we tried a couple different things structurally, and I think that showed. I think we did our job. That was a theme, and the guys will tell you, and everyone did their job, and they did it well. They did it fast. They did it with power. They did it with physicality, and played with a lot of effort. Really took on the attitude of, it's got to be this way. It's got to be a will not be denied attitude on every single play, whether it works out your way or not. So structurally, we threw in some things. Aside from that, we elevated our level of play. We played to a standard that, we need to keep improving upon. And certainly, we need to build upon that.
Mario, the would-be, I thought it looked like a safety, but that officials reviewed and confirmed their original decision. Have you asked the ACC for any clarification on that, and any thoughts on that? Or why did they tell you that they didn't call a safety?
If I could break this, I would. Next question.
Do they explain to you, let's say, when the situation, can you ask them why did you confirm it? Can they tell
We're
you?
awaiting a response.
Emory's now sitting at 4 games. Does that change anything with approaching red shirts?
No.
Or?
Well, I don't think so. I think the day and age of redshirting is, there's a transfer portal, there's injuries, there's 3 and dones. If you can help a team and play, you play. If you bring value to a team, to waste someone on meaningless downs, no. If you're playing special teams, that's ultra valuable because you're one step closer to being a full-time player on offense and defense. The training of the speed of the game, angles, leverage, understanding concepts, special teams is far and away the best way to acclimate players. I know Emory's a different situation, but he just started the game. That's obviously the most value, right? You get out of that, but he's ready to go, and all systems go.
What stands out about Virginia, just looking at them?
Well, watching them up front, number one, they bring a lot of pressure. They're anywhere 36, 40% pressure. They're disruptive up front because they'll run a lot of stunts, but not only on third down, I mean, on first and second down to try to disrupt your run game. A lot of TEs, ETs, double TEs, which is something we haven't seen yet. The America's Blitz, field missile, bring the Sam and the Mike and the Will respectively, depending what part of the field you're on. They involve their secondary and pressures as well. They've got a really nice menu of pressures on third down. They're exotic, and you had to. We put in already extra time into all that stuff, knowing that third down they really made it difficult for North Carolina last week. Forced some high balls, forced an interception at the end. It actually was a quarterback hit to seal the game with an interception. And but they're really stout up front. Their linebackers can absolutely roll. They're great tacklers on the back end with a lot of speed. I think their offense, they're just gelling. I mean, they're making explosive plays all over the place. They're hard to cover. They run really hard. They've done a lot of work on their offensive line, you could tell, because just the way they fit their combination blocks, the way they communicate, they're just in sync. And they operate at a very high level this past week.
Mario, is there anything to like playing a team, it's coming off of a big win like that, 'cause I'm sure they were not feeling great about themselves entering that game, having only won one game before that. Is there anything to playing a team, coming off a big win, either in a positive way for them, where they have more confidence, or in a negative potential way, in that they're, I don't know, they're probably not feeling full of themselves, but like, a letdown kind of thing? Is there anything to that?
I think for 150 years, everybody's been trying to figure that out. And I feel like if you watch college football, you get a different result and a different dynamic, right, depending on what you watch. And it keeps coming down to what's going on between the ears, what's going on upstairs. Where is that mind? What is the mindset of the football team? Are you unified? Are you willing to fight through the tough times? Are you willing to take a shot right in the nose and be able to just keep getting up and up until it turns your way? Because we just had to do that, right? We got faced with that, and they were facing that, and they did it. So there's tangible evidence, right? There's film and proof that they are a team that is very capable of playing at a high level, and they did that. So, which is great for our guys to realize that, because probably one of the hardest things to convince players in coaching college football for whatever years is that everybody has good players. Everybody has really good players, in some way, shape, or form. Some have a ton of good players. But if you walk into a game thinking that you're going to do well because you're better or they don't have good players, you're out of your mind. And this doesn't relate to who we're playing. This relates to just college football in general. And that's why I think you see, some of the, they're called upsets, but it's really who played better that day. It's not the best team, right? It's who plays best. And so whatever goes on between the ears has got to be the priority. And, it is for us on a week-by-week basis.
And then, obviously they're the opponent this week. You're focused on beating them, but after everything they went through last year, are you happy for them that they were able to have this kind of nice moment, a joyous event for themselves?
We are. We're setting up, some stuff that's it's really important to us. Gulliver's right down the road, and I can you imagine as a parent, man, that's tough stuff. So we're certainly going to do everything we can to honor them.
Don Cheney, I know when you mentioned something this morning, you got mic'd up towards the end of the game. How is he doing? I have a follow-up on another player.
He's doing well. He's doing well. He got up. He ended up getting back in the game, but he got up really slowly. So it was concerning at the time. But we feel like he's in a good place right now.
And then the other thing is just Colby Young has had some nice contested catches recently. And any comments on him and his progression?
The best thing he did was after that ball was knocked out of his hands, get right back up, the dig route, the jump ball, the underthrown fade. That guy's, he's a machine. That guy just works. He is unbreakable, He fights through injury. He fights through nagging stuff, always a positive attitude. We got to slow him down during the week because his GPS numbers are so high. We don't want him to just use up all the gas in the tank before the game comes around. He's that kind of guy. We are super fortunate to have Colby Young in this program.
I think last week the O-line was nominated for the Joe Moore Award. I would assume every O-line group's different, and it's only been 7 games this year, but What do you like about this group, this O-line group that you guys have this year?
They're legitimate, hardworking, tough, resilient, accountable, physical, smart, cohesive human beings that are team first guys. They want to see the team win. They're willing to do it. They all think they're super athletes. That's the only thing that's, they all think they should have the ball or a play where they get the ball, which, we're not doing that. But they've got great personality. They're natural leaders by what they do and whatever comes out of their mouth by example. Those guys are a lot of fun to be around, and the culture of that room just gets better and better and better. Coach Mirabal, just done an awesome job. Coach Pato was with him earlier. He's now working more with the defense, but Coach Reggie Bain and Ryan Walk, who we had brought also from Oregon. Those guys just do an unbelievable job with that group, and they make it fun, man. They make it fun because they go. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you.
We have Offensive Coordinator Shannon Dawson. We'll go straight to questions for Coach Dawson.
So throughout the game, it looked like Emory got more and more comfortable and made some big plays in the fourth quarter. How did you kind of see him progressing throughout, and did the game just slow down for him or what?
Yeah, I mean, he had to make some plays at the end, which I knew that was going to happen. And when it was his time to make plays, I mean, he made them. I don't know if it was a deal where he couldn't have made them at the beginning. Probably could. I didn't want to go out there and put the whole game on him at the beginning. But I also knew that at some point in the game he was going to have to make a crucial throw or a couple. And when those times came, he came through for sure.
Did he kind of graduate on that throw over the middle to Colby? He's leading him, he's throwing to a spot, had to deliver it with confidence. Was that like the moment?
Very astute observation. Yeah, that was a small window. He don't make that throw, we don't win the game. I mean, that's third down, third and long. They went 3 double cloud. They dropped 8. Windows were small. I mean, he ripped it through there. There's 4 people standing within 4 or 5 yards. And, yeah, we had to use our timeout the play before, too. There was a little bit of miscommunication based on, signaling to a new quarterback and all the different stuff that goes into that. But that was a crucial play in the game.
As a coach, obviously you've taken him from walking out of high school here to having to play against one of the top defenses in the country against Clemson, I guess, 9-10 months later. Is it almost like a proud parent? Is it like what's going through your head?
Well, I mean, I like for other people to see the growth of players. Doing it in practice is one thing, but doing it in front of the fans, in front of everybody is a whole nother deal, especially in that setting against them. And so, I was very proud of him. And the way he handled himself throughout the course of the game, I thought was really remarkable for a true freshman. He was composed from the beginning to the end. There was very few, communication between me and him that got confused, it's harder than people think. Our signaling and the way I signal numbers in, script numbers and stuff is pretty elaborate. And when you're out there and you got a million things running through your head, that's not the easiest thing in the world. I thought he handled it well.
How big was just the O-line in terms of giving him time?
Unbelievable. We knew we were going to have to run the ball, which, obviously I feel like we have the best O-line in the country along with the best O-line coach. And they came through, we were physical. Those guys protected. Emory got hit, I think, one time when he flipped it out to Riley. And but other than that, it was as solid of a performance against a really tough defensive front.
And then Rashard Smith obviously has shown the ability to make plays, whether it's receiver, coming out of the backfield on Saturday. How does that ability to kind of feel like a multi-tool?
Yeah. No, look, we're starting to scratch the surface with him. You know, his skill set is similar to some guys I've had in the past as far as he has the ability to do multiple things. You know, he's not just a receiver. You know, he played Wildcat quarterback in high school. And this is really a process of me getting to know him a little bit, you know, and me getting to understand the skill set of our players. And so the more I'm around him and the more consistent he's been over the course of the season, you know, has gained trust, you know, and we've put him in some positions to make plays, and he's came through. You know, he came through huge this week, obviously, and I wouldn't think it would be any different moving forward as far as, like, just finding some ways to move him around and get touches.
That Jacoby play, how much do you highlight that in film too?
I mean, good. I mean, look, if he isn't running as hard as he can run behind him, that's a devastating play. You know, it really is. I mean, look, as good of a play as it was by Brashard, it could have all went for nothing, you know. And he, you know, there was multiple plays in the game that saved the game, you know, and that was one of them. And that was the first one, really. But what a play by him, what an effort by him, you know. And I think that, you know, that really talks about the culture that Coach Cristobal creates with effort, you know, because ultimately that's all that matters. And I've seen receivers not do that a lot because a guy breaks out in front. They've already done their job basically, so they kind of just coast, you know. And so good things happen when you strain.
How about Colby? I mean, you mentioned the window catch, but also you made some nice contested catches for him.
Well, he made, you know, the touchdown catch was awesome. That corner is one of the best corners in America. It was a good matchup. The 3rd and 8 catch he made to keep the drive going. You know, I mean, he did multiple other things through the course of the game too, blocking wise and all the rest. But those two stick out, and the 3rd down one was just, we had to have it. You know, we had to keep the drive going. We had to make a play. We knew the coverage there was going to play. We knew the window was going to be small. We knew the timing had to be perfect, and those two were right on point. You know, if there was a second off on that, we're punting or going for it on 4th down, probably. You know.
How about your backs? Played against the good front and
Yeah.
grind it up.
I mean, just 5, 6, 7, you know, yards a carry, right? I mean, and a couple, honestly. We had a handful of other times where if they don't shoestring tackle us, we're out for 40 or 50, you know. I mean, that was really, really close on multiple different occasions with AJ and Don that, I mean, they just got tripped up. And if they don't, you know, they're out, you know. And I thought AJ came in and, like, at the end, you know, those runs at the end were crucial, you know. The touchdown run, the 2-point run, I mean, he got some tough yards down there. It was good to see.
Mario mentioned this, and there's a video going around of like Tyler running up to celebrate with Emery. Obviously, quarterbacks in different kind of positions, only one person can really play at a time. So how common is it to see quarterbacks support each other like that when there's still so much competition? Is that something that you see frequently, or is that kind of a little unique for them?
It's probably a little more frequent than you think. You know, quarterbacks, they cheer for each other. You know, they know how the position is. And so, and I do stress the point that whoever's playing, everybody's supporting. And we're helping, you know, it's all hands on deck when it comes to support because there's a million things going through your mind, especially when it's your first start, right? So Tyler, whenever ultimately at the end we knew he wasn't going to play, that was my only message to him was, look, man, you have to be an unbelievable, like, support system when Emery comes off the field. Good, bad, or indifferent, like sit down with him. And he did. He did a great job all night. And so, and that video at the end was obviously, you know, what everybody saw, but he did it the whole game too.
Anything else for Coach Dawson?
How about just Virginia? What they show you on tape?
You know, I mean, defensively, structure-wise, extremely sound. I mean, well coached. You know, they're riding the momentum of a two-game win streak, and they do a really good job of just keeping everything in front of them. You know, they're structured very well. They're structured against the run very well. They're always going to have the extra guy added in the right place. So it's one of those defenses where, you know, they probably want you to make the mistake, right? And so they have some pressure packages they bring, but ultimately they like to keep that umbrella over the top, you know? And so we have to do a very good job of maintaining possession, which I thought in the game, you know, the second half we possessed the ball, which was crucial because I thought defense was playing a lot of plays, thought they were tired, and so we needed to have some long drives, and we did. We put together a couple long drives that really, you know, I thought gave the defense a little bit of a break because they were playing so well and they were playing a lot of snaps, and we have to do the same thing. We got to possess the ball, you know, whatever it takes. If it's 8-play drives, it's 8-play drives. If it's 2-play drives, it's 2-play drives. But we need to possess the ball and take care of the ball. And so it's the two things we stressed going into the game. And we protected the ball for the most part. You know, we had one pick, but ultimately that wasn't Emory's fault. You know, we can't abort on a post route that deep down the field, and he knows that. And it ended up being like a punt. You know, I mean, you hate to say that, but I mean, you know, every turnover isn't the same. And that was indicative there that, like, yeah, we don't want to turn the ball over, but at least they got to go 95 yards, you know.
One of those drives, I think, was 15 plays, shoot up 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was not in the air raid manual that you got at the beginning of your coaching career.
No, and that's part of the reason why the evolution happens, you know, because, you know, whenever you do have to grind out a game like that, it was always tough back then, you know. I mean, you know, protection is hard, you know, throwing through those windows are hard. And so it's nice to be able to add some surfaces with tight ends and grind it out whenever you need it, right? And our 5 guys up front, you know, I say 5 guys, but it's really more than that, you know, because Cam and all the tight ends are part of that group too. And I just thought they were playing at a high level, you know. So leaning on those guys with the freshman quarterback was something I didn't mind doing.
Coach, how much does it help that you don't ever want to go into an overtime game, but that you went through it and came out in good shape? How much does that help in the future? Does it?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think coming out on top helps because it gives confidence, you know. But I'd rather not go into overtime games, you know. I was glad when Flag made that stop because I didn't want to call another 2-point play. So that was all I was thinking about is, like, you know, I didn't want to call another 2-point play.
The process was good, the whole process of it, because you practice it obviously a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, we thought, because we got the ball back with like a minute and something, you know, and you're right in that area where you want to be aggressive, but if you do something stupid, you give them a short field, you know. And I mean, me, you know, I probably, you know, Coach Cristobal made a great point in that situation that, you know, we don't want to do anything stupid, and also, like, we're the more physical team right now. So whenever you go into overtime, you play on a short field. So typically when you play on those short fields, the more physical team wins or has the edge, right? And so we felt like we could go spot the ball at the 25-yard line and push it down there. So it was the right decision, no doubt. And so, but the two, you know, overtime drives were good. I mean, we got stopped on the first one on a short yardage, and then the second one, the screen to Burchard helped at the beginning because it got us 14 or 15 yards down there.
Anything else?
Appreciate it, guys.
We have Defensive Coordinator Lance Guidry. We'll go straight to your questions for Coach.
What stood out most to you about Ruben Bain's performance?
Just how he manhandled him, you know, to be that young in a P5 game like that, and him being able to throw people around, you know, great power, strength, twitch. going to be a really great player before he's finished.
Leonard Taylor also popped on Saturday, and I guess you can talk about the entire defensive line because that was a heck of a performance, especially against the run.
Yeah, Leonard was in his wheelhouse. We played him a lot at the nose, and we played him over the center and made him knock him back and then moved him from that spot, either right or left, and it was a good game plan for him. So it kind of played to his strengths, which was really good, and he showed up a lot. But the whole front, he really played well, backers and everybody was included.
It seemed like you had a wrinkle with the front. Can you just take us through that and the impact that made?
Yeah, we went 3-3 stack. You know, we've been short on some defensive linemen. We've been beat up a little bit, and I felt in this game, probably Sunday night after watching them on film, in my head, I'm like, okay, we got to get as much speed on the field as we can. So I started thinking, if we put 3 linebackers on the field with 3 down linemen, we can do more. We can drop in coverage differently. We can match up on tight ends. We can bring different pressures. And I've done it before, but it's been a while back that I did it. But it was kind of the same situation. People gave me a lot of motions, a lot of empty sets. And when you get in empty sets, a defensive end can't go out there and play a guy, but a linebacker can. So just watching the film and breaking them down, I'm like, you know, this is the week. They've been working on us for 2 weeks for what they've seen because they had an open week. I said it's a perfect time to jump into it because when it gets to Saturday night, they haven't seen anything that we're going to do. And the kids picked up on it, and a lot of it was similar, but some of it was different. I played a lot more bear with it. So they carried out the game plan well, and they did a great job executing. Coaches did an unbelievable job of getting them to buy into it, and they had some people who had to be unselfish. They didn't play as many snaps as, you know, they would have with a regular front. But I thought it was best for us to have a chance to win, and we executed it really well.
What have you seen on film from Virginia's offense?
Well, you know, the last game really sticks out. Quarterback played really good. Transfer kid from Monmouth, of course, and a lot of one-hand catches. They played up to the challenge, and they were good at what they do. They get a lot of empty sets. They get in some open sets, and the quarterback runs draw, and he's good at running the draw. He's a little jitterbug up in there, so we're going to have our hands full for sure. So just well executed last week. Early in the year, not as much, you know, so we know we're going to get their best game, though.
I know, obviously, you guys try to treat every opponent the same, treat every opponent with respect, but, you know, it stinks that it might sneak in that this team, you know, a week ago had 1 win, but now that they've beaten the team that you guys know is a handful, you know, does that kind of bring it to this level, like, yeah, these guys can play?
No, Monday's a Monday, Tuesday's a Tuesday, Wednesday's a Wednesday. Our preparation's the same every week. You know, last week was a good practice, and we played well. The week before, we played a half game as good as you probably could against that quarterback that was playing against North Carolina. And then we got on our heels a little bit, and the game changed. But each week we prepare the same well. We play with great energy, so it really doesn't matter about the opponent. We just try to focus in on what we do well and practice the way we need to practice. And I like where we're at, and I'm glad they beat North Carolina, you know, because it's not a team that they're going to look over, but we didn't look over Bethune. We didn't look over any team we've played this year. So I think we've been very businesslike.
Obviously, Ruben's having a lot of success as a true freshman. Most of it's been on the outside. What does the future hold for him? Do you see him as a defensive end in the big picture? Does he eventually go inside? Maybe as you get, you know, pieces back and you know, maybe advance?
I don't know. I'm not putting any limitations on Ruben. I do think probably if he has a future past college, he may trend toward the inside, you know. But right now, I like him where he's at. And he's big and powerful, and the offensive tackles aren't used to seeing that. They're used to seeing guys try and run around them and do counter moves, and now they've got a big guy on the edge, you know. You know, in the NFL, there was guys like Bruce Smith, and there was Reggie White, who gave people problems on the edge because they were so big. Ruben's not that big, but, I mean, he brings the same type of skill sets, strength, power, and twitch. So, I don't know. We're just going to let it play the way it's playing.
You guys had some key stops when they got inside the 5 in the Clemson game. What did you like about the way the defense kind of bowed up?
They just showed grit, you know. The last drive, I really wasn't worried too much. After we scored, I was more worried about the other one. I was worried about when the first overtime, I was a little bit worried about that one because I didn't want to put our offense in a situation where they had to make a touchdown. I wanted to hold them to a field goal, so I was a little bit more nervous with that one. But the second overtime, when we scored and made the 2-point conversion, I really didn't think they could score on us twice. And when it got to the fourth down, I even felt like, okay, if they score, they got to come back and score twice in a row on the fourth play and the overtime and the 2-point play. And I just didn't think that they could do it the way we were playing. And it worked out that way. But we definitely had a lot of attitude down there, and that's what it takes. You got to have some grit. And we haven't been great in those situations, this year. We've kind of, when people got down there, they punched it in, but we were locked in, and they played well. I was so proud of them.
Can you talk about the play that Flag made to seal the game?
Yeah, we work on it like different backfield sets, whichever way the running back set. We'll scream a guy off the edge to chase him, and we'll gap exchange with that linebacker. They happen to go to the big field with it. They actually had a guy that was ineligible into the boundary, and we really needed to take the safety and blitz him off the edge on that side because we didn't need to cover him because he wasn't eligible. And we didn't get that accomplished. So if they would have given the ball, we were soft into the boundary because we didn't set the edge with a blitz. But he pulled it. Thank God he pulled it. And the best thing Flag did was when Wesley was trying to chase, he went forward. He took the air away. He didn't work sideways, and he made the quarterback have to belly back. And when he belly backed, it gave us enough room. Even you could see Wesley running, and James came all the way from the other side and was tracking. I feel if Flag would have missed him, James would have still got him at the goal line. So we had 3 guys really running to the ball. We all were. We was all really worried about a horse collar because you could see him tug on his shoulder, and then he was smart where he didn't, pull him down like that. But very instinctive play by Flag, older guy that's played a lot of football, and for a guy to make a play like that, that's really who you want to make the play. Is a guy that's, kind of been here a while, and he's had his ups and downs, and that was one of the biggest ups you can have right there, beating Clemson at home in double overtime.
Mike, you said Corey's kind of had some ups and downs. How have you seen him develop, since the beginning of fall camp, since the season got started?
He's working, man. He works. He don't complain. He takes coaching from Coach Nicholson, and all those guys have gotten better. Wesley's gotten better. KJ's gotten better. But Flag's been patient when he's in there. He's played well, so he keeps getting better. Of course, Kiko keeps getting better. And you got to have depth at linebacker, and we needed it because we were playing with 3 starters this week, and we had to have guys in rotation. So Flag was one of the guys that had to play the mic and the wheel. And so you got to do a lot of different things when you're playing 2 positions, especially in that 3-3 stack stuff we were doing.
And Mario mentioned that naturally Kelly's likely out for the remainder of the year. Who do you see stepping up in his place? And obviously departing for a lot. Who else do you want to see step up filling that spot?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to step up. We'll figure it out, and if we got to move some guys outside, we'll do it. If we got to generate some more fronts with different things, we'll do that. So we want to play the best 11. That's the most important thing. I think when you're a coach is you want to have the best players on the field that you can, and sometimes it's the most healthiest players. So we'll go through this week, and then we'll decide on what we'll do at that position. But we've got different choices, and that's a good thing.
Lance, they were targeting you, not you, but they were targeting you guys on the outside, on the perimeter, with the deep ball more than we've seen anybody do this season. Your thoughts on that? I mean, you've got some games coming up. I know you're looking 1 week at a time, and I don't really know who Virginia's receivers are, but you've got some games coming up, I know, with some big receivers and things like that. Did that have a resonating effect at all?
We're going to keep doing what we're doing. You can't double cover people and not have a guy playing the run. So there's some different different matches we can put in there, but they have to prove they can hit them. And it's a 50-50 ball. They've started hitting them. You got to do different things. You might have to switch guys. But the guys that we love them, and they'll keep competing, and one game at a time. I'm not worried about down the road. I'm worried about practicing on tomorrow and, this weekend playing Virginia. So it is what it is. And when we get to the games where they have big receivers, we'll deal with it then.
With their production they had at tight end, is there things to clean up there, or is that a guy just kind of making a play?
Man, that guy made some great catches and some great throws. And Anytime a tight end's going free like that and you're in great coverage and they're making plays, you just got to kind of tip your hat. We put a backer on him, we put a safety on him. At the end, on some third downs, we put another DB on him, a corner on him, but still he had big, he's a big guy. He had length. So we felt like we had to try to make the tight end beat us because we thought they had some good wideouts, and especially with a kid coming back that was healthy. So we felt like if we could make it a tight end game, it was better for us. And, I thought he bobbled it, but it is what it is. I thought we had a safety as well, so. But I'm not an official. I know that because of the week before, they threw flags on me, so I stayed off the field and didn't complain this week.
How's Josh Horton developing? And he's a big guy, true freshman. Can he help you this year?
He's getting better, but when you don't come in the spring of your freshman year, it's hard. There's so much to learn. You go through summer, you go through fall camp, and then you start playing, and your reps start getting cut down. You go in a scout, so it's just hard, whereas the difference between him and Ruben is just from the learning purpose. Ruben was here in the spring, so he went through spring football. Ruben did not look like he does right now this spring, but through going through a spring, then going through summer, then fall camp, he's continued to get better. So Horton's going to develop when he develops. He has gotten better, and he's played a couple of snaps, but just not there yet. But we got to keep getting him closer and closer because we might need him down the stretch.
Freshman linebackers, you had,
They played some special teams. Hadn't played a lot, on defense except mop-up duty, but they've gotten better. They've really done a good job on the scout team, the look teams they call them. So they've done a great job, and they're going to be some good football players.
KJ, I think, played his most snaps of the season. Was that a function of the 3-3 look?
Yeah, because we started Wes. Wes is what we called our Hank. He really took over for the Jack into the boundary, and then KJ played the Will, and Kiko played the Mike, and then Flag came in and played both. So they got a bunch of snaps, and we needed them too. And I was kind of a little worried because they play on special teams. So there's a lot of snaps they played the other night, but they held up well. I was proud of them. They did what we needed to do.
Jared playing at end.
Yeah.
How do you do?
He did great. A lot of times he played the 4 because we was in 4s a lot. We'd get in 5s, and they was slanting and angling. So Jared's probably more of a 3-tech or a 4 technique anyway. So he's really a little bit further out in the guard, the better he is. And it fit really well what we did. Him and Ruben are both kind of those guys that kind of can do a little bit of both. So.
Anything else for Coach Guidry?
How tough is it for your defense to defend and practice for Short Smith?
We don't go against them a lot, thank God. We'll go against the offense probably about 15 plays a day. At the beginning of practice, we'll go like maybe tempo against them, and then we'll go a team run play action, and then there's always some other type of team that we do. So it's roughly about 4 and 4 with the ones, about 12 to 15, and then with the 2s. So he's mostly on the outside. He didn't play in the backfield against us at all, but he's very talented. All the wide receivers are. We have a hard time with our wide receivers. They're very athletic. They can run really, really well, so we get a lot of good practice against our offense.
What do you think of Corey and Daryl and Jaden in coverage on Saturday?
I thought they did well. We gave up a couple balls. Jaden gave up, one of the fade routes, but other than that, he challenged it really well. To Corey, gave up that last one, which I was kind of disappointed in, but, he always made a big hit on the quarterback, and then Porter's been solid the whole time. He hadn't really been challenged as much, but when he is, he always knocks the ball away. So they've been a solid group. They're very smart, all 3 of them. So it really helps them out. They study film really well. And we've been beat up a little bit at the free safety. Cam hadn't been healthy. I mean, he's been having a bad ankle. He comes off of, the concussion deal, and then he's had a bad ankle since. So this morning was the best I've seen him with his ankle. He wasn't taped up. He wasn't hobbling. So I think he'll have a good week this week. He'll be more like the old Cam this week. It's been a while.
Why do you think Porter isn't getting challenged much? Is it luck of the draw, or is he doing good?
No, I don't know. Maybe because he plays the left side. We played a lot of right-handed quarterbacks, because we don't play a field and a boundary. We play a right and a left. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe quarterbacks and then the boundary throw more fade routes to their right. I don't know. He's gotten a lot of in-breaking routes, and he's broken them up. So knock on wood, hopefully he keeps playing well. But I don't know that.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all.